There was a time when the B-17s were taking off and landing from this very spot. In front of the control tower at Thorpe Abbotts in Norfolk, a crumbling concrete strip is all that's left of one of the runways. Nearby, the derelict Nissen huts are also gradually being lost to nature. But look closely and you see where the Americans left their mark.
Inside the end panels of the huts, which were just plain board painted grey, they actually painted the panels alternate colours. Each plank was a different colour, so silver red, silver red, silver red. Just a little something to make the place look a bit brighter and a bit more homely.
For almost 2 years, this was home to the 100th Bomb Group. What was once a hive of activity is now eerily quiet.
There would have been bunks, very basic furniture, footlockers, and that's really pretty much it. It was pretty basic. It's been very hot in the summer, uninsulated, and freezing cold and damp in the winter. They were actually cutting up and burning their own furniture to actually keep themselves warm.
These sites became small American towns with their own hospitals, bakeries and cinemas to cater for the 3,000 or so people living on them. By the end of the Second World War, the Americans had been stationed at around 70 airfields across East Anglia.
After Pearl Harbor, the United States came into the war and they committed to a strategic bombing campaign. We realised we would have to have a great many new large airfields constructed. Now, we had some that had already been constructed in East Anglia ready for RAF, Royal Air Force Bomber Command. So they decided they would use some of those initially, but then they realised they would have to build a great number more. And there was, in the end, 60,000 civilian employees that were involved. 10 of the bases were built entirely by Americans. It was the biggest civil engineering project in the whole history of Great Britain.
Well, those fields were so big, walking was out, unless you wanted to arrive after sundown. Time to see something of a land very different from home, yet kind of the same in many ways.
At its peak, a new airfield was being opened every 3 days. As a child, Jim Merriott lived near Monksey and remembers his father delivering lorry loads of cement to help build the runway at Lavenham.
His big surprise was when he came the next day how much they'd got done. He said they were putting these runways up in absolutely seconds almost, and had the B-17s, 4-engine bombers taken off in no time at all.
From these runways, the 8th Air Force flew daylight missions over Europe, while the RAF took to the skies by night. The small American towns have faded over the years, but near Shipdham in Norfolk, they've managed to save some of the artwork of the 44th Bomb Group, left on the walls of what were derelict huts and the officers' mess.
Before they used to go on operations, it's said that they used to kiss her on the lips. That's probably why her lips are a bit worn out. You couldn't really get into here to start with because there was ivy everywhere and there was trees and they'd grown through the buildings, and there was a porch out here so you could come in and look at this one. When we saw it, it just seemed criminal that it should sit there and be washed away. We were very pleased to have an opportunity to save them.
It's a race against time for archaeologists to record all that's left of this part of our history, learning about life for the Americans who briefly made East Anglia their home. Victoria Lampard, ITV News.